Good morning,
Top of the
guys.
morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Stepping, looking fleet, stepping. Ooh, oh my God. That jacket is, oh my God. That's the most fire jacket ever. Oh my God. I got
All stories alleged. For gossip and entertainment only. Let's get started.
Hi everyone. So the Diddy trial, all the arguments are done, and all the arguments are now with the jurors. Now the jurors, they will begin their deliberation on Monday. So on Thursday, Thursday is what? Today's the 28th, so 27, 26. So June 26th, Thursday, the prosecutors, they did their closing argument. Then I think Friday, yesterday, the 27th, the defense did theirs, and the prosecutors also rebutted. So how it goes is the prosecutors put their argument out on why Diddy's guilty. Then the defense comes back to debunk those arguments by the prosecutors, and then the prosecutor, they have another chance to convince the jurors that Diddy is guilty. So it's like prosecutor, defense, prosecutor, done. Anyway, so we're going to read an article from the New York Times, and this is the 4 takeaways from the prosecution's closing argument at Sean Combs' trial, which is good because, we don't need to go through the lengthy documents and different notes and everything like that when it comes to the Diddy. So you could go back and watch previous videos that I did of certain parts in the Diddy trial, which I think, was a standout, where you can go listen, me read on those. So the judge, he wants everything done. He wants a verdict in by the 4th of July. They don't want the holidays to come and there's not a verdict. So like I said, the jurors, they're going to start deliberating on Monday. And, when they do come back with a verdict, we're going to find out if Diddy is going to spend the rest of his life behind bars or a lot of years behind bars. But I know next week, Monday's the 30th, so that's when the juror goes in. I know next week there's going to be a lot more people out at the courthouse so they can have the first go at what the verdict will be, and I'm sure everybody will keep watch. So before they read the verdict, I'm sure they're going to go live. They're going to, not live as in telling, on TV or anything, because in federal court, they can't show, cameras are not allowed or mic. But I'm sure they will release a statement that a verdict was reached. This is the time or day the verdict will be read. And that's where everyone is going to be on pins and needles because they can't wait to hear the verdict. So right now, a lot of people are saying that the defense, they nailed it. They put on a case. Again, the defense did not call any witnesses. And I think the prosecutors, they did about 36 witnesses, something to that effect, including Cassie, which was the main person. But again, I think it's lost on people. They keep looking at the hotel surveillance of Diddy abusing Cassie, and he was not there for that. So, let's go ahead. Let's read the 4 takeaways. Again, this is from the New York Times. So we're going to read the 4 takeaways with the prosecution closing argument. Go get yourself coffee, tea, if you're doing laundry, if you're working on a project and you just want something to occupy your time while you're working, then this is a good listen for you. And it helps me with my reading because I did a story and someone said, you don't know how to read. I mean, I'm not a journalist. I'm just an everyday person trying to bring to you, my gossipers, the news on what's going on in the world of entertainment and world news. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, if you hear me flabba flabba, I always apologize. Sorry. If I can't pronounce a name, I'll say, I don't want to mess this person's name up. So if this person is a police officer or the judge, like the judge, I'm not quite sure, with his last name. So I might attempt at a first say, but going forward, I would just say the judge. So just listen for that. So let's get started. So this is the 4 takeaways from the prosecution closing argument. So it says, after 7 weeks of testimony, the government detailed to jurors why it says the mogul is guilty of trafficking and racketeering. A federal prosecutor summed up the government's case against the music mogul Sean Combs on Thursday, waving strands of evidence from his 7-week trial on sex trafficking and racketeering charges to portray him as the head of a criminal enterprise who used power, violence, fear to get what he wanted. The prosecutor, Christy Slavic, focused much on her closing argument on the methods Mr. Combs used to coerce 2 women he dated, Cassandra Ventura, which is the singer Cassie, and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane, to have sex with hired while he watched the DRUG fuel session known as freak-offs, hotel nights, or Wild King nights. Now, I did not know that. So they called it freak-offs, or it's called hotel nights, or it's called Wild King nights. I did not know that. So let's go. Here are the 4 takeaways from the prosecution's closing argument. Let me see. Hopefully they don't, because sometimes when you go through these articles, they want you to subscribe, or not subscribe, sign up for the news. Okay, I just opened it up and it looks like it's giving me the entire thing, so I don't have to worry. Okay, let's go. The prosecution said proving that women were coerced into one freak-off was enough for a sex trafficking conviction. So that's what they're saying. A key point of contention has been whether Mr. Combs coerced 2 women at the heart of the case into having sex with hired men, or if they were willing participants. In cross-examination during the trial, the defense highlighted text messages in which the women expressed enthusiasm or excitement for the sessions. Ms. Slavic clarified for jurors that the government is not arguing that all of the sex nights with male escort constituted sex trafficking. She said the women had initially been willing to engage to please Mr. Combs, but later became unwilling participants who complied either because they feared he would hurt them physically or cut them off financially. So basically what she is saying is that, no, these women aren't innocent. They were complicit. They wanted to take part. But after a while, they just did not want to do it anymore. And out of fear of Puffy or Brother Love hurting them, again with the Cassie video, or might cut them off financially, that's the reason why they went with it. So what are your thoughts on that? That, a lot of people are saying these women, all they had to say was no. But, sometimes when that's how you get your living, your paycheck, you can't leave what Puffy was paying you and go to a 9 to 5 when you're used to a certain amount of money and the lifestyle. I'm only telling you what people are saying, that what some people are saying as to the reason why, these women would not leave. So let's continue. If there's one time, one single freak off that jurors find were the product of force, threats, or force, fraud, or coercion, Mr. Combs could be found guilty of sex trafficking, Ms. Savick said. To underscore her point, she laid out several examples for each woman. So let's do this. Those included a time in June 2024, Ms. Savick said Jane and Mr. Combs physically fought before he directed her to have sex with an escort. Jane testified that she repeatedly said, "I don't want to," but Mr. Combs, his face close to hers, asked if this is coercion. Ms. Savick also pointed to Mr. Combs' 2016 assault on Miss Ventura at a Los Angeles hotel that was captured on surveillance video. He was using force to cause Cassie to continue engaging in a freak-off, Ms. Savick said. Let me see. So with Jane, she's saying she doesn't want to do any freak off. And now this Jane they're talking about, they're saying it's 50 Cent's second baby mother, allegedly. So when she's saying, "I don't want to do it," basically, Combs is in her face like, "You are going to do, bitch, you're going to do it." So basically that's what they're trying to say. That's coercion. He was forcing her to do it. The prosecution laid out its theory of how Mr. Combs' employees operated as a criminal enterprise. Now, Puffy had his team, some of the people who were working for him, for them to, get help with getting the hotel rooms ready, help with getting the male escort to come in, help with getting the illegal drugs, just everything like that. So let's hear what the prosecution said. Much of Miss Savick's summontation in the morning was devoted to arguing that Mr. Combs did not merely lead a typical celebrity entourage bit, but instead ran an enterprise responsible for years of crimes. To convict Mr. Combs on the racketeering charge, jurors need to find that he knowingly joined an unlawful conspiracy, and that Mr. Combs agreed that he or a co-conspirator would commit at least 2 criminal acts on that list to further the enterprise. Ms. Savick said an loyal inner circle of Mr. Combs' employees carried out various crimes over more than a decade, most of them aimed at facilitating the freak-offs or covering them up. Those crimes, she said, include drug distribution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution, and even forced labor. She identified several employees as being part of the criminal enterprise, none of whom have been charged with a crime or testified. So a lot of these people who came up and testified against Puffy, they were granted immunity, right? Meaning they can't be charged with anything. So it's like Puffy is with this on his own. He's not naming anybody. Nobody else is dropping name. So right now everything is on Puffy, because everyone who testified against him, basically, if they were a part of his enterprise, they won't be going to jail because, of the immunity. Let's continue. They included Christina Curum, Mr. Combs' former chief of staff, often referred to as KK, and a group of security officers known as D-Rock, Fahim Mohammed, the word is Mohammed, Uncle Polly, and Roger Bonds. So KK, they're saying she is like the Ghislaine Maxwell for Diddy. So Ghislaine Maxwell, she was Jeffrey Epstein, his right-hand woman. So they're saying KK is what Ghislaine was for Epstein and KK is that for Puffy. Examples of DRUG distribution alone, Ms. Savlik argued were sufficient evidence to convict Mr. Combs of the racketeering charge because she said the trial testimony had established that he directed his employees to transport DRUGS several times for use in the sex sessions. The evidence also showed instances of kidnapping by the group. Ms. Savick told jurors, Ms. Ventura, for instance, was taken to a hotel to heal after a beating by Mr. Combs and spent more than a week there, watched over by members of Mr. Combs' staff to ensure she did not leave. Damn. Ms. Slavic also said Ms. KK and D-Rock were involved in bribing a hotel security officer to obtain incriminating security camera footage that showed Mr. Combs assaulted Miss Ventura. And of course, that is the video that went viral. When was it? Was it March of 2024? The video came out with Puffy, Brother Love, putting his hands on Cassie. Okay, so now it says Mr. Combs tampered with 2 witnesses after settling a lawsuit, the prosecution said. So now they're saying he paid people not to speak. For the first time, the jurors heard details of allegations that Mr. Combs had committed witness tampering and obstruction, one of the 8 potential crimes that are part of his racketeering charges. Ms. Slavic provided 2 allegations connected with women who had testified under pseudonym during the trial. The prosecutor said that after Ms. Ventura filed her bombshell lawsuit that precipitated the criminal investigation, Jane was stunned by similarities to her experiences. Shortly after Mr. Combs settled the lawsuit with Ms. Ventura, Ms. Savick said he called Jane twice in an effort to feed a false narrative that Jane was a willing participant in the sex marathons with male escorts in hotel rooms. The jury heard recordings of the calls in which Mr. Combs described the nights as kinky encounters that I thought we both enjoyed. In the second call, he told her, I really need your friendship right now, and assured her that if she needed him to, she ain't got worry about nothing else. Around the same time, he texted an employee to ensure that Jane's rent was being paid. So right there, they're saying that he called Jane twice, kind of, like to butter her up to say, we like doing our sex thing, right? We like doing stuff like that, right? And it's like, what? Your rent is due? Girl, I'm going to take care of you. So come on, let me pay your rent. But you know that we wanted to do that, right? Right? So basically, stuff like that, okay? Ms. Slavic said Mr. Combs also tampered with Mia, one of his former assistants. Mia testified that after Ms. Ventura's lawsuit, a bodyguard known as D-Rock called her and began to discuss Ms. Ventura's relationship with Combs, saying something to the effect of they would just like fight like a normal couple. Now, normal couple. Why can't I say the word couple? Normal people in relationship don't do boxing or MMA fights. When you have someone to the ground kicking on them, punching, that's MMA fights, and that's not no regular couple fights. Anyways, Mia said D-Rock sounded nervous and said Mr. Combs missed her. Mr. Combs tried calling her, but she did not pick up, Mia said. Later, as Mr. Combs' legal troubles were deepening, D-Rock texted her, let me know how I can send you something. She declined. Mr. Combs bought a book to court. Mr. Combs entered the courtroom wearing a blue a baby blue sweater, and a smile, waving to family and friends who filled 2 rows near the front of the courtroom. The beginning of closing arguments drew perhaps the largest crowd yet to the courthouse over the trial's 7 weeks, and administrators were forced to open 4 courtrooms to handle those interested in watching the proceeding on closed circuit TV. As Ms. Slavic spoke for nearly 5 hours, presenting Mr. Combe as a violent, abusive man who was used to get his way and deployed aid to help him secure it, he was an attentive defendant, shaking his head at one point and often passing notes to his lawyers. He did not have time to focus much attention on a book he had brought into the courtroom with him, The Happiness Advantage by Sean, I think the last name is pronounced Accor, described as an engaging, deeply researched guide to flourishing in a world of increasing stress and negativity. So that was the book he was reading, a book about flourishing in a world of increasing stress and negativity. So that was the prosecution, their closing argument with the 4 points that I would say the New York Times thought was, out of the 5 hours, it says that she was doing her argument, closing argument. Those were the 4 key points, the 4 takeaways they got from it. And so basically they're saying with the coercion, it's Diddy calling up these people, or Diddy, if they're like, Diddy, I don't want to do it tonight. And he's like, no, we have to do it. You love it. You love it. Don't say that. Come on, girl. We've done it before. Why now you don't want to do it anymore? Girl, come on. We have fun. Come on. And then you stuff as, we're going to buy you this, pay your rent, do all this stuff. And then like with the sex trafficking is, having these males escort come from out of state or just to have sex and everything like that. And they get paid. So it's not like they're just coming to have free sex with Cassie and Diddy and whomever. These are people you're paying. So with Diddy and his staff and his, KK, his, as I said, Ghislaine Maxwell, everyone contributed to this. Everyone was complicit. Everyone knew what was going on. No one was strong enough to stand against Diddy to say this is not right. And then again, they're like, what? Everyone is overage. No one is forcing. Because I'm sure they're going to say, well, if you really want to say no, you can say no. No one can make you say yes. No one can make you say yes. So even though you said you didn't want to do it anymore, eventually you did say yes. And you're saying because Diddy was like, come on, baby, we've done it before, we enjoy it, let's do it. Then people are like, no, you wanted to, and that's why you did it. Don't talk about Diddy forcing you to do it. You wanted to. So the gossipers, that's it for the prosecution. So I'm going to see if I can do the defense and then the prosecution rebuttal to the defense, and we can go from there. So what are your thoughts? What do you think? After hearing all this for Diddy, are you thinking this man deserves life in jail or deserves time in prison? Or is it just someone who is just freaky deaky and fulfilling his wish, not what's the word I'm trying to say? Not caring what these women think. Meaning they're telling you no, but you're like, no, I'm Diddy. I'm telling you to do it. You have to do it. Do you think the women felt obligated because it was Diddy and he could further them in this industry? Gossipers, tell me your thoughts. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you.